You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneur.network.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to Industry Thought Leader Podcast. Stand out, be heard, influence. Want to influence real change with your message while become known as an authority in your field? Industry Thought Leader Podcast will show you how. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
And welcome to another episode of Industry Thought Leader Podcast, brought to you by Industry Thought Leader Academy. Stand out, be heard, influence. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross, also known as the podcasting queen. Now, my guest today says when you improve on your speaking voice, you simultaneously work on your heart and body. Then you will when your authenticity becomes present through your message. Love that. Now, joining me on today's show is Maria Pellicano. Maria, she is a public speaker trainer and communication specialist who helps you communicate with confidence and influence. Now, in her coaching, she uses her speaking voice techniques and mindset strategies to help you deliver and engage both verbally and non-verbally with powerful presence on any platform. Now, on today's show, Maria is going to share how to control your voice tone to match your message. She's going to talk about how we can be more aware of our mindset to speak with power, as well as how to authentically, words are hard this morning, Maria, engage with audiences and so much more. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited.
Oh, look, I love this topic. And as we said in the introduction, we can use our voice in many different ways. Many of us are now finding we have to communicate via Zoom. Now, if we are speaking, maybe doing some virtual presentations, but also speaking to our colleagues, and of course we can podcast too. But before we dive into all of that good stuff, share a little bit about Maria. How did you get into this industry?
Well, I've been working with singers for 22 years, as well as human behavior, and looking at how to enhance somebody's voice, not only from a physical sense, but their voice in sense of their engagement, ability to be heard, ability to engage and influence an audience, even through singers who are comfortable with their emotions, but sometimes fail to do that because they're so focused on themselves rather than on the audience. So I was asking questions. So about 20 years ago, I embarked on studying human behavior and coaching, anything that would help somebody perform more from their being instead of their doing. And so because of that, I've entered a journey that's really unfolding more and more and more each day. So it's a powerful space, really.
Yeah. And, as you're sharing that, I'm sure that as a singer or as a speaker or even just communicating with people, when we're in our own heads or we're focused too much, there's something that's almost like an invisible wall, isn't it, that stops that level of engagement. And I think when we're able to implement and really step into what you're going to share today, it just enables us to communicate, but also to engage. And know that when we're engaged with our audience, whether it be one person, whether it be many, we're able to influence as well.
That's
so
right.
let's dive into all of that good stuff. Now, I'm going to ask you, for people who are not sure what voice tone is, because you're going to talk about how we can control voice tone to match your message. Share, what is the terminology voice tone? Let's get all on the same page.
Okay. Well, voice tone can be lots of things, and it comes from lots of different places in your body. It can come from your emotions, how you're feeling, brings out a tone that sometimes it's unexpected. It's like, I didn't mean to say it that way. Like I could be angry and suddenly my voice becomes tight. Or I can be very compassionate and very soft and too breathy all the time. And this gives an impression that maybe, somebody could, with a stronger personality, could overtake you or could silence you because you're softer and it's not as powerful. It's sort of like a bit like being in the jungle. And most of us are still really wanting to be winners when we communicate, and we want to dominate the conversation. If not, and you're in a position where it's really about friendliness, because sometimes it is about negotiation and people using their voice to win, or even there's a conflict of some sort and they're using their voice. So it's quite stern, it's harsh, and it's very restricted. It doesn't have a lot of vowel in it, doesn't have a lot of breath. And there's a lot more force in the body. I can feel my stomach muscles clenching and tightening. And then the let go, breathy kind of tone allows a lot of air to come through. There's not a lot of support in the tummy. The voice goes very light and fluffy. A lot of women tend to speak like this. And then some women try to do vocal fry because they've got to be deep. So their voice goes down like this. Yeah. So it goes on and on. So there are lots of variations from
Right.
high to low pitch, from breathy to not breathy, and then the emotion it creates. And so the emotion it creates, the meaning it gives to words is probably the most crucial bit, is because people are surprised by it. They say, why is it that people are intimidated by me? Or why do I intimidate others? Or why do I feel like I'm never heard? And when I coach and listen back, I role play that and they can see it and hear it, because otherwise you live within this body and it's hard to hear it.
Yeah, I can imagine, as you're using that soft, airy voice, that you're in a robust conversation around a boardroom table or even on Zoom. I have a
Yeah.
point that I'd like to share. No one's going to hear that. So, and I love the way that you're bringing in your body as well,
No, it's all
because
bloody.
when everything aligns, and I'm sure that's kind of what you're talking about, matching your message. It's like, as I'm sure of those of us who are parents, when you're telling your kids off, there's something just about you, even as children, we remember when mum or dad come in, they go, right, and their body language and their tone and all that, we know, oh, I know we've done something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about one of the things of starting to become more aware, and now, of course, taking action into that. What are some things that, if this is the first time someone is recognizing that maybe my tone is not matching my message, and maybe that's why I'm not being heard, what are some things that they can start to do?
Well, start to feel the body. That's the other bit that I wanted to say, is there's a lot of lack of awareness. The voice is body and the voice is part of the body. It's also part of the heart. It's the organ of the soul. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said that. So it is connected to even to your thinking. So the way you think, you need to sort of say, why do I sound like, why do I speak like that? What is it in me? And sometimes I'll do this with myself, is I sound really stern and it frightens the other person sometimes. So what do I need to do with my emotions here? What do I need to work on? What am I believing? And on the other hand, why does my body get tight suddenly? What do I need to do to be aware of? Because food can make your body squeeze and tighten all the time too. It can make your heart beat fast. When your heart beats fast, you speak fast. There's no pauses. So body awareness, so mindfulness, meditation, yoga, any of those body activities are worth doing. And, seeing a physio or an osteo, and just anybody that works with the body is it's worth it, because the voice is the body, but it is also the emotions. And it is also the psychology, the way you think, because signals are sent from the mind to the larynx and it affects the vocal cords. Vocal cords then give meaning to words. Without a voice, you cannot communicate.
Yeah.
And you don't get a response.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It takes way longer. I have seen my dad for 5 years speak without a voice. So I
Right.
went through that journey with him.
Yeah, that's just saying that, and it does. Our body or our mind, and we're going to talk about mindset to be able to speak with power shortly. But if we're thinking about, that statistic that goes around the world that says people fear public speaking or having to speak in front of a crowd more than they fear, their own death in some instances, it's because the mindset, I'm going to make a mistake, or whatever pattern, they're repeating over to themselves, that impacts as you said, what's the word you used again?
Your larynx, your voice
Your
box.
larynx, yes.
Yeah.
And that's going to impact how your voice comes out, probably a bit shaky. And then we often look for the evidence to prove our belief is true, that I can't speak in public kind of thing.
Well,
So Because then, and we know also too that, you know, our body and how we hold our body can impact our mindset, and vice versa. So it really is about building awareness first, isn't it? And being aware of what are some of the things that just happen automatically, and can I change that? Is it also very important to recognize, well, this is the message that I want to share, and how can I leverage my mannerisms, my body, to be able to support me in delivering the message, creating an experience that I want the message to have as far as impact?
Yes, yes, of course. So, for example, I just had an image, as you said. I see a lot of people I coach, because I actually coach a lot of executives and leaders who want to have better communication skills.
Yes.
So, and from all over the world. And it's very similar issues right across the board. It doesn't matter what level you're at and whatever title you have, women and men, it doesn't matter. You know, often I just see their head like this, you know, and they're not realizing it's the whole body that's speaking. I want to see you. If I can see more of you, I understand you more. I'm not just listening to your words. I'm looking at your body. I'm looking at your face and your expression. I'm listening to your voice. Foremost, 93% nonverbal. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, the visibility, the exposure, and perhaps actors, singers find it more comfortable. They know that you're out there and it's too late. Well, you know, or spend some time doing whatever it takes, which I would suggest is do some acting, do some singing. I say to my speakers sometimes, would you like to do just a little bit of singing? And they're like, oh, I can't do that. I go, it would empower the sense of vibration in your body. You would start to feel the body, that when you speak, you're actually creating a melody. You're trying to create interest. You want people to be engaged with you. Are you aware of the way you speak, instead of just reading from a book and making sure I cross every little word and everything is done at the best, like meaning academically meticulous, and not realizing that it's a human being speaking. It's a human to human. How would you like to be spoken to?
Yes.
Like as an object or as a person? Is it just about me, or is it about we? You know, there's all these about the external, not so much. It's also about, like, it's out of me body experience. So me coming out of me, I need to reach out. But in order to do that, I've got to forget about myself, right? If I don't lead in a way, I have to be strong here, and then I've got to go out of my body to reach somebody. But I've got to be strong here. I can't leave here first. So if you haven't done your own home business, and I think, honestly, if we haven't done our private work in what we, you know, content, that we know what we're talking about, or we're connected to what we're talking about, that we're passionate, that it is something that I can find meaning in. Like, what's the purpose of this data? Don't just talk to me about the data. What does it mean? What does it help with? How does it make a difference to the other person? Focus on that bit about the data, and then tell me about the data later. But first, what's in it for me or for you? So it's about leaving here and going there, but also making sure that you're strong before you do that. And sometimes that's not there. And so the fear is there because it's very self-conscious, simply because I still haven't done my work. You know, I need to develop my heart. And then on the other hand, sometimes you're still nervous, right? You're still nervous, but you've got to do what you got to do. And you take a punt and you've done everything you can, and then you're surprised too.
Yeah, that's right. And that it becomes just part of who you are, isn't it? It's really in your muscle. Something that you were saying, and I think I want to just pick up on that and just stress that it's so important, especially for many people who are going to be listening and who are watching and even the recording, is that many of them want to become seen and heard and be recognized as a trusted authority. Now, you can have the most recognized experience as far as comparison to everyone else. You can have done all of the certifications or have had years of experience, but if you're not focused and able to deliver that message, to create an experience where people really feel engaged with your message, you can just be sharing words. And as you said, 93% is that whole physiology and how you're bringing that through. 7% of kind of the words, isn't it? And there's nothing more unmemorable, if there's such a word, than someone just reading something off and there's not having that emotion, or it's so awkward, because that will often happen from an audience point of view. If someone is so nervous or awkward, it makes the audience feel awkward as they're delivering or speaking. Would you say
100%.
that's
Yeah.
true?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's a dance. It's a flow between two people or you and the audience. If there's no flow, what are we doing? Then you're just doing a solo act.
Yeah.
And it feels like that. You feel alone.
Mm.
You feel exposed because it's not a collaboration. It's not a connection. So I think I think what's important, what can we do about this, right? There's no point pointing out this problem. Believe in your purpose. Stay focused on your why and what makes you do this. Stay focused on the meaning, right? The being, not the doing. You can prepare the doing beforehand. I think you need to prepare it. Do some videos of yourself, get some coaching, and just get everything checked out and choreographed in a way and teased out. So sometimes I tease it out and give hard scenarios where I'm being a resistant audience or where I'm being a like over interrupting audience. So I test out the speaker and give them the worst case scenario to see what triggers. So do the preparation and then forget about it. Forget about the rules and the techniques. Just be yourself and be part of the meaning. Remember that it's you're feeding, you're giving out. Don't interrupt the process, the dance, the song. Don't interrupt it. Just keep going. Even if there's an error, just keep going. Pretend it didn't happen, I say. Just keep flowing.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Let's talk a bit about how to become more aware of our mindset to be able to speak with power. I mean, we've touched on that already, but I think let's just dive a little bit deeper and maybe even go over some of the things you said, because we can teach, you can teach, we all can teach strategies in our particular area of expertise, and yours to speaking and presentation. But if we don't have the right mindset to support us, we can still find ourselves starting to speak and all of a sudden nerves take over and we find ourselves spiraling. So what are some things that you would like to share around mindset and speaking with power?
So mindset is know who you are. Right? What is it that I'm doing? So recognize yourself as an expert. And if you're not an expert yet, you are an expert in that particular subject. Otherwise, why would you be speaking? And if you're not fully an expert, to understand that whatever it is that you're here to say, you're the right person and it's the right moment. So the mindset, it is what it is. And it can only get better within time. So there's no point you saying, well, I could have done it better. And oh my goodness, I can't believe I said that in the middle of your presentation, or that inner critic, you see. So the inner critic is the younger you that sits in the feeling center of the body, which is the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, and the tummy. And in those areas is where you feel the feelings. And I bet they've been there before. Let me tell you, they don't just come up because you've been speaking in public. If you really look, those feelings need to be dealt with. We all have them. We all have that inner child. It actually sits inside your tummy here, like your whole body, and it's not in your head. Your head triggers those feelings and those thoughts. Deal with them off the screen. Deal with them privately with mindfulness meditation. Fantastic. Meditation leads you to your emotions, where you sit with your emotions. You don't run away from them. You don't even try to fix them. You just acknowledge them. You're aware of it. You do it. You do this work and you keep doing it forever. We will keep doing it. And even when you think you're done, it will still be there. And then you realize, hey, they're just feelings. It's the inner critic. It's the inner child that's scared, thinks I'm going to die. It's okay. It's okay. I'm a big girl now. I'm going to work through this. So the mindset is about who are you, what's feeling, and are you prepared to grow? Are you prepared to have self-compassion too? It's okay. I know what I'm doing. And you kind of say to the inner child, I'm going to hold you by the hand, or we're going to go through these emotions later, right? And you're sitting there with the emotion, not necessarily trying to fix it, control it, change it, or anything. It's always there for a positive intention. That's the other thing.
Great reminder. And, it's one of the things that I know that I have done in the past, and I'm sure others can resonate with too, is we can look at people who we admire. And in this instance, there may be some people that people are recognizing they just speak with this level of engagement, this level of authority, but real connection. I would love to do that. We can compare ourselves. everyone, even those great speakers that we know and love and trust, have started somewhere, haven't they? And it is really an art. It's really something that we continue to build. And why I'm sharing this is the first time you speak versus the 100th time versus the 1,000th time. You grow and learn, don't you? And so just
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
It's just like a singer. I mean, how many great singers are there out there? There's a zillion beautiful variation, so many different genres of music and different people that sing that same song differently. And you too, you can speak that same message differently because it's the human being and it's the voice that brings the message out. And it's the all those tonal differences and the heart and the emotion that's different from one person to the other. So it doesn't matter if it's the same song, just sing it from your heart and don't compare yourself to others. You can compare purely for observing the things you like, the things you could improve. You could do that, but definitely don't compare because somebody's better than you and then you can't exist because you have to be as good as that because there is a lot of space for variation. And even I used to think, I can't do that. And I thought, no, I'm going to do it anyway because what else would I do? I'm going to speak. I'm going to share. What else would I do? And you know what? It works. It's okay because everybody has their own audience. It's
Yeah.
fine. You don't have the same audience or be the same as the other person. No, that comparison is again goes back to mindset. Who am I and why am I not good enough? And that's one of the
Yeah.
human fears that we have. Everybody feels not good enough. So it doesn't matter, good enough or not good enough. Just get on the journey, get some mentoring, and just keep going and exploring.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more exhausting than putting on a mask and
Mm,
trying to be someone you're not. And there's nothing more empowering than giving yourself permission to show up as you.
mm,
Let's talk about authentically engaging with audience. What are some insights you'd like
mm.
to share here?
Authentically is to be yourself. So we are talking about your own identity and to be comfortable with your weaknesses, to be self-compassionate when we're comfortable with who we are, meaning there's no such thing as perfection. We get better all the time. And if you put enough money and resources into anything, you can sort it out. I mean, we can sort out whatever it is that needs to be sorted out or there is every solution out there. If you ask, you shall have it. And just to know that you need to be where you are and to be authentically comfortable with that is to speak from your heart. What is your heart? People say, what is your heart? Well, just be real. Let's be real and heart to heart. Let's remember the other person's just like me. They need to feel that I care enough, that I'm speaking from my heart. I'm not just showing off, but I really have something to share. Authentically is a big word, but I think being real. But sometimes it's hard to be real because everybody's masking, and you can feel it when there's a mask and the person's pretending or afraid of being themselves. Hopefully, you're not feeling that today with me.
Yeah, no. I love that. Maria, if someone is listening today or watching the recording and they can see that the things that you've spoken about is an area that they can certainly be supported in and can take to the next level, how could people find out more about the awesome work that you're doing? How can they connect with
Okay.
you?
Yeah, thank you. Two areas. You can go to my website, which is www.mariapellicano.com, and go to the business voice coaching packages and have a look there. And you can even 4 sessions can really help you get a bit of an idea on where you're at. You can do an hour and a half, 4 sessions, or 45 minutes, or you can do a whole program where I can help you get your message right and your voice right and your presence online, particularly now. And Maria is very different to speaking on stage. It's requiring way more energy for most people. And also, it is still a wall, but you've got to treat it like there isn't a wall.
Mm,
But people are still finding it quite difficult. So there's that, and there's my YouTube channel. So
yes.
Maria Pellicano YouTube.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on the
Right?
show. What would be one
Thank
insight
you.
that you would want to leave with people as we finish up?
Well, I did say the voice is the organ of the soul. So remember that when you're speaking, it's your soul that's speaking, and that communication is always the response you get, That is what communication is. I just want to leave that with you and see what you can do to be more aligned with that every single day and never give up. Find the answers you need.
Lovely. Thanks once again.
Thank you.